If you're still thinking about cybersecurity as just a digital wall with a strong password, we really need to talk. The whole foundation of how we protect our data is being torn down and rebuilt from scratch. Why? Because the threats we're up against today are a completely different beast than what we faced even a few years ago. So, let's dive into the innovations that are leading the charge.
And this quote, man, it just nails the problem, doesn't it? A screen door on a submarine is totally useless because the threat, the water, is literally everywhere. Well, in today's world of cloud apps, remote work, and constant connectivity, the threats are everywhere too. Our old security models, they're that screen door, completely unprepared for the world we actually live in.
And the stakes here? They are absolutely staggering. According to IBM, $4.45 million is the average cost of a single data breach. This isn't just some IT problem anymore. This is a boardroom-level crisis just waiting to happen. The choice has become brutally simple. You either innovate or you risk financial disaster.
This slide really gets to the heart of it. On the left, you've got the old model, the fortress, right? The idea was simple: build a really strong wall and just trust everybody who's inside. But then you look at the right side. That's our reality now. With cloud apps and remote teams all over the world, there is no inside anymore. The perimeter has basically dissolved, and that whole fortress idea has crumbled with it.
So, here's our game plan for breaking down this new era of defense. First, we'll look at the rise of these smart thinking sentinels. Then, we're going to see how the very idea of a digital wall is being completely reimagined. After that, we'll explore how we can unify these tools and get them ready for tomorrow's threats. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the new rules of protection.
All right, so first up is a huge one. We're making our security systems smarter. This is all about moving beyond simple, static rules and actually teaching our digital sentinels how to think for themselves and spot threats on their own. We're going to start with AI-powered threat detection.
So how does this actually work? Well, it's a lot like how your bank spots credit card fraud, and it follows these 3 steps. First, the AI learns. It sits back and establishes a baseline of what's normal for your company's network. Then it spots. It's constantly watching for anything that deviates from that norm. An employee accessing a few files during the day, that's normal. But that same person suddenly trying to download thousands of files at 2 a.m., the AI spots that as a giant red flag and immediately alerts a human analyst to check it out, connecting the dots in milliseconds.
But here's the thing. Spotting strange traffic is only part of the story. We also have to look at the people who are already inside the network. According to this data from Verizon, a staggering 30% of data thefts are committed by insiders, people who already have the keys to the kingdom. And that's where this second smart sentinel, behavioral analytics, comes in. It's laser-focused on spotting insiders who are abusing the access they're supposed to have. Think about it. A retail company caught a contractor who was selling their customer data. How? Not because he lacked permission, but because the system noticed his behavior changed. He went from looking at a few records a day to downloading entire databases. His access was totally legitimate, but his behavior was a dead giveaway.
Okay, let's switch gears. We're now moving on to how we're completely rebuilding the very concept of a digital wall. The old fortress is gone, so what takes its place?
The answer starts with a radical but really simple new philosophy: zero trust. The old model was kinda trust but verify. The new model is just never trust, always verify. It doesn't matter who you are, what device you're on, or where you are. Every single time you try to access data, you're treated as a potential threat until you prove otherwise. The default answer is always no.
This isn't just some theory, This has been tested in the real world. After a major hack, Google completely rebuilt its entire global network based on this zero trust principle. And just think about the Edward Snowden case. He had legitimate access, but he could see way more information than his job actually required. The zero trust model would have restricted his access to only what he needed to know, which would have dramatically limited the amount of damage one person could do.
So what's the other piece of this new wall? Is something called the cloud security mesh. See, as companies like Netflix moved everything to the cloud, they realized security couldn't be a fence around a building anymore. The security mesh makes protection portable. The best way to think about it is like a personal bodyguard for every single user and every single app, instead of just one guard at the main gate. The protection travels with the asset wherever it goes.
And the results? Just look at this number, 90%. According to our source, that's how much this mesh approach can slash the financial cost of a security breach. By shifting the focus away from defending some imaginary line to protecting the actual people and data, the results are, well, they're dramatic.
Okay, so we've got smarter guards and totally new kinds of walls. But how do we get them all to work together? And maybe more importantly, how do we get ready for threats that we haven't even seen yet?
You know, traditionally, security teams were kind of like detectives trying to solve a crime by visiting a dozen different precincts to get clues. As you see on the left, every security tool was separate. XER, or Extended Detection and Response, brings all that evidence into one single room. It unifies all the data from email, from laptops, from the cloud, and it shows the entire story of an attack on one screen. This lets teams finally stop playing catch-up and start proactively hunting for threats.
Now let's look ahead, way ahead, to a threat that is literally a ticking time bomb. As this timeline shows, our encryption today is strong against today's computers. But in the very near future, practical quantum computers will arrive, and they'll be able to shatter it. The immediate danger is a scary strategy called harvest now, decrypt later. It means attackers are stealing encrypted data today and just sitting on it, waiting until they have the quantum keys to unlock it tomorrow.
And look, this isn't some far-off science fiction movie plot. This is happening as we speak. Organizations whose data has to stay secret for decades, we're talking the US military, major banks, they are already in a race against time to upgrade. They're implementing brand new quantum-resistant encryption standards to future-proof their most valuable secrets before it's too late.
So, after looking at all this incredible new tech, what's the real takeaway here? What does this all boil down to? What is the fundamental shift in thinking that we all need to make to survive in this new world?
At the end of the day, it's all about this core mindset shift. It's a move from protecting a perimeter to protecting identities and data. It's a shift from assuming trust internally to verifying everything, always. And it's moving from just reacting to alerts to proactively hunting for threats before they can strike, from a bunch of separate tools to one unified defense.
And that really leaves us with one final crucial question that every single leader should be asking themselves. The threats have changed, the technology to fight them is finally here, so the only question left is this: is your security built for yesterday, or is it truly ready for tomorrow?